Hello everyone, my name is Josef and I am Mr. Musette. If you are new to my channel, I create art and illustration related videos here on YouTube. For this new video, I will present you my favorite art supplies of 2021 and at the end I will create a small illustration with them. So if you are curious about that, stick until the end of the video. Or maybe jump to the end of it. So let's start with the art supplies. I will start with the pencils and with the pens which I use more often. To sketch out my illustrations in my sketchbook, most of the time I use a mechanical pencil. This is a Pentel Orange 0.5 and I like to sketch out with color lead from the pencils. Right now I am using a red one, but I often use a blue one as well. I like these LEDs because they don't smudge as the normal graphite LED. As wood pencils for sketching, I also like to use the Staedtler Norris erasable pencils, which are very similar with the cold erase pencils. And I like these ones when I sketch out directly on a watercolor paper because they don't show so much underneath the watercolors as do the graphite pencils. And also, of course, they are not smudging that much. As ink fine liners, this is the only brand which I use for years now is the Staedtler pigment liners, and I use only two different size nibs. For the thin lines I use a 0.1 size and for the thicker lines a 0.3. These ones are very good quality. They are light fast, as I already said in my preview videos. And also they are waterproof, so I can put down first the line art on the watercolor paper and then color it with watercolors on the top. As markers I use only water-based markers in my sketchbooks as color accents, and I like these water-based markers which has a brush nib. There are a lot of different brands of this kind of markers on the market, but you get the idea showing you these two ones. My favorite eraser is the Faber-Castell dust-free erasers. This is a black one, but they have a white one as well. I go through these kind of erasers very fast because I draw every single day in my sketchbook and they are very good quality. They don't leave so much dust after you erase as most of the erasers do. I also love these pencil erasers, which technically it's an eraser in a pencil form. I like to use these ones to erase small details from my sketches. For watercolor brush, I use only synthetic brushes because I have more control with them, and mostly I use only round brushes in different sizes depending how much details I want to put in one illustration. As paper, I don't have a favorite brand for watercolors because I am still trying out different papers and different textures to see what I prefer. So at the moment I don't have a favorite one, but I can show you two of my sketchbooks which I use. Is this Moleskine art album. I love a lot this sketchbook paper because the pencils and the fine liners go very smoothly on the paper, and you can use water-based markers as well, but you can do that in any kind of sketchbook. But I really like this sketchbook for line art, and I will consider to buy a bigger one in the future. Also, at the moment I use another larger sketchbook for my plan out illustrations. It's an A4 size. I think it's a Derwent sketchbook, which is hardcover, but the paper from it is not my favorite because it doesn't take too well the ink file liners. It's very scratchy, but the pencils are performing very well in this sketchbook. So now, depending what you prefer to use in a sketchbook. Now for the watercolors are two brands which I will show you in this video, because when I am thinking of these watercolors, I consider that they have some kind of personality, and this is why they are my favorites at the moment. They are professional quality and are not that expensive as most of the professional grade watercolors are. One of them is this Kuretake Gansai Tambi set. I own the 36 color set and I really like them because are very transparent and I can layer different colors and shades on each other and still shows the line art very well. These are a medium budget watercolor set, so if you want to invest in something different and interesting, I really recommend buying these. But if you think that this set is too large for you because has these big pens in it, another alternative, I recommend the Paul Rubens watercolors. 2 years ago I bought this 24 color set, I think from AliExpress, and I really love using them each time when I need to create a watercolor illustration. And they are also artist grade watercolors. You have all the pigment and light fastness information about them. And this is why recently I decided to buy a larger set of these watercolors, the 48 color set, because I'm that artist which I don't want to waste my time with mixing colors. I want to have all the colors ready to go and don't think about anything else, only about the painting. The 48 set, I bought it from Amazon and it was a very good price for the quality, even with the shipping. So I really recommend these if you want a frugal and a very good quality watercolors. Of course, I have a lot of other brands of watercolors in my collection, which I use them every time I need to create an illustration, but I decided to show you these two ones because I think that these watercolors have the more interesting personality when it comes to painting. If you know the illustrations which I create, in most of them I use some black inks as well. And these two inks are which I used very often lately in my illustrations. One of them is this Indian black ink, which has a tint of glossy finish when it dries on paper. And the other one is this aqua ink from Graphix, which is a hybrid between watercolors and ink. I use this one when I want to have a more matte finish, so this is the difference between the Indian ink and this one. One of them has a more glossy finish, the other one has a matte finish. As white gel pens, I use most of the time this Sakura Jerry Roll pen to add little bit of details of white or stars in the background, things like that. And last but not least, as colored pencils, I decided to invest in a more professional colored pencils, and this is the Faber-Castell Polychromos 36 set. They are professional grade and are very creamy and pigmented colored pencils. Most of the time I use these ones to add small details in my illustrations. So these are the art supplies which I love to use this year. Let me know which is your favorite art supply from this year and why in the comment section, and how often do you use them. Now let's create a smaller illustration with most of these art supplies. So let's see what art materials I used to create this illustration. The paper which I used is 100% cotton paper, and I decided to draw this bird which is Sparrow. I really like these tiny birds, and here in Romania are very well known and you can find them almost everywhere. And I had this illustration idea in my head for some time, as most of my illustrations are. And I told myself, because it's a smaller illustration, I will include it in this video. So I sketched out the illustration directly on the paper with an erasable color pencil from Staedtler. I used a brown one for this one because I knew that I will use some of the brown shades for the bird, and even if I cannot erase all the pencil, will look good with the watercolors. After that I started to draw the line art with the two-sized fine liners from Staedtler, the 0.1 and 0.3. In general, for the fine details I used a smaller nib size. After all the line art was done, I took out my Paul Rubens watercolors and I started to color it. Somehow I wanted to include as much colors I can in this illustration. So the flowers were painted in different color shades. Some of them were red with green leaves, some of them blue shades, and I painted two of them purple. At the beginning I didn't like the sketch, but I told myself that I will try to finish this illustration and see how it turns out. If I will like it at the end, I will post the illustration on my socials. If not, I will throw it in the garbage. But I am glad that I decided to go until the end with the illustration, because I really like it, and I also framed it and looks very nice framed as well. So these were my favorite art supplies from 2021. I hope that you enjoyed this video, because it was a little bit different as my usual videos. Let me know which art supply is your favorite one in the comment section. and see you in the next one. Thank you for watching, and do not forget, life is a song, illustrate it.